Welcome to Intelligent Human Leadership, leading yourself and your team. Do you ever find yourself grappling with a lack of confidence in your team? Or battling the relentless waves of concern and fear? Are the pressures to meet client expectations and the burden of missed opportunities weighing you down? On this podcast, you'll discover the strategies and insights that will reignite your team's morale and help you find the harmony and knowledge you seek to propel your business forward. Here, we explore innovative ways to reignite your creative spirit and achieve greatness, empowering you to lead with intelligence, compassion, and resilience. If you're ready to dive deep into your core of leadership challenges and be guided toward success, here's your host, founder of Steward Your Business, David Carr.
Welcome to the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast, where we cut through the noise so you can lead yourself and others with clarity, purpose, and resilience. I am David Carr, your host. So grateful to have you back once again this week, where we are picking up on leadership that works. We're going to cover communication, where drama and dropped balls begin. Today, this series is going to address where most teams fall apart in the area of communication. You can have a great strategy, the right people, even a clear mission, but if communication breaks down, everything else starts to crumble. What are we building on? How are we going to get there? This episode is for leaders that feel they're repeating themselves, constantly putting out fires, dealing with the same misunderstandings week after week. Does this resonate? Do you hear this? Have you heard this from other colleagues? Well, we're going to dive deep into this in this episode, and I hope you stick around through the whole episode. We're going to give you some great nuggets, take away, and some resources that I've learned and use with myself and clients and others that I get to share this with. So as we dive into this, what's actually breaking down, right? You can have frequent conversations, but really still lack clarity. As one that's married almost 20 years, I can tell you this is a truism that you have to work at. My wife and I talk past each other at times, and we're not on the same page. Same thing with my kids. And this goes straight for work as well. These are people that I live with my day in, day out. Think about the people that you don't live day in, day out, and you have challenges with. Poor communication shows up in a number of ways. Drama, confusion, what's going on? I didn't understand this. I'm frustrated, right? From the production side of things, rework. Anytime you put in front of it is expensive. And inefficiencies here. I misunderstood that. That didn't get taken care of. I didn't know that was my responsibility. I thought you were doing that. Missed expectations. And that can build into silent resentment. Can also be into vocal resentment too, but there's this, people to shut down and don't engage. This is critical because if this is breaking down, and unfortunately, it's not a set it and forget it thing. You're either, you've heard me talk about this on the podcast before, you're either breaking down, and that's the natural tendency of the thing is, as a biologist, as a person working in the natural world, entropy is natural. It is a constant breaking down. So you're either breaking down, communications, either breaking down or you're building it back up, but it does not stay static. So good communication isn't just about how often you talk, how loud you talk. Have you ever been in another country where somebody speaks louder? Like that's supposed to help. But it's about how clearly you are understood. It's one thing to communicate. It's another thing to receive that message. How do people feel around you? Do they feel safe that they can respond and to share? Most of what people call people problems are actually clarity problems. We are not clear on the issues at hand here. And sometimes we force our way through because we're, quote unquote, we're the leader. I like this quote from Simon Sinek where he says, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. Hence, the name Steward Your Business is about focusing on taking care of those that we are entrusted as a business owner. And whether you're a business owner or a leader, a group leader, a director, you're in a position of overseeing somebody. It's your responsibility, in my mind, and I felt this way, to lead by example. And when we don't do this, unfortunately, there becomes, and sometimes, and if you're not doing this well, I was talking to somebody earlier today about what incurs in the business. So think about this: we can either be, storing up funds, storing up deposits, good things, but we could also be racking up debt and racking up things that are not healthy or well. Let's work on focusing on the good things, building it up, building that reservoir of, and get away from the breaking down. Now, the challenge is we're facing this breakdown in a number of ways. I'm going to get to some solutions here toward the end, so stick with me. But the reality is we got to peel away some of these layers of challenges in communication. Oftentimes, I look at it in kind of three dimensions, if you will. I look at the external world, the things that are going on around us, which means I'm feeling misunderstood. The team misses the mark. There's deadlines that are slipping. These are things that are going all around us. And it's going to lead to, I call the internal framework or understanding. But, there's a breakdown here in multiple levels. And oftentimes we don't see it all that way initially. We're a little blinded by emotions or frustrations and wondering, do they even hear me? That's an internal one, right? Think about this. Like, I'm internalizing what's going on. I may be misunderstood. That's the other person misunderstanding me. That's the external. I may be feeling misunderstood myself, like somebody else. I'm not understanding them. So can you see the dynamics here of this external and internal? And then depending on your natural voice, you guys have heard me talk about this in the past, your voice order or your approach to speaking and leadership, this can be quite challenging. And honestly, what it breaks down to, even philosophically, if our communication is unclear, our culture becomes confused, it becomes muddled. The message is fuzzy, the mission suffers. And there's good people. Like I started the episode here, we could have good people, we could have good systems in place, but there's a breakdown in how we're communicating with each other. I've talked with a number of people today about using technology like AI, but whatever you put into a system is only as good as you're able to interpret it and extract it. If you're not putting things in and able to and then interpret it and it takes it both ways, then you're not going to really get it. It's not going to be that helpful. It's going to be muddled. And so if your team doesn't understand you, they're not going to trust you. And if they don't trust you, they're not going to follow you. This is something I learned early on when I was starting to step up into management and leadership. And I started to do my own work and myself to become a better leader, to become the example. Now, here's the thing. Am I there? I'm better, but I'm not all there. This is a lifelong pursuit. And, and you try to do this on your own. It's difficult. It is difficult. Now, I've done it and I got help. I got external help. I took different courses and engaging different people. And, I'm better at it today than I ever have been, but there's a lot more to improve. And so I want to encourage you here to look across these different areas in your life, the external challenges, and those are usually the easiest ones to get to. The team missed the mark, deadline slipped. There's people who are not understanding some things. They didn't get the message right. I mean, you could literally write it in black and white, and I've seen this, and you send an email and like, I didn't read it that way, misinterpreted it that way, but it said it was this. Well, I read it this way, and then you have the internal, which, I think we all feel that at times. And then, like I said, the bigger question is that this rolls up into this, philosophical challenge of, muddleness, lack of clarity and focus to help us move forward and make our mission. And so then kind of everything just is kind of and you're not really, on point. So here's where you as as a leader can do a self-check, a self-leadership check for yourself. Ask yourself these couple of these points. Am I assuming I'm clear or confirming it? I'll say that again. Am I assuming I am clear or confirming it? Am I confirming it? Am I communicating in a way that empowers others to act with confidence, to get it done, to follow through? Or I'm a person that's perhaps manipulating, perhaps being unclear, ambiguous, let's just say. Do I know how my message lands on the different types of people on my team? This is a huge one I've had to learn. And you may think when you're communicating, it's the same to everybody on your team. And if you just use the framework that I use of the 5 voices, just use those 5. There's 5 different folks that may interpret this and receive it differently. That's just a framework. But if your team is not all the same, they're not robots. They're not, now they'd be very similar, but they're not all going to do that, everything the same. And so one tool that I use with my clients is called the communication code. You guys have maybe heard me mention this before. In fact, there's a whole book on it, unlock every relationship, one conversation at a time. For those of you watching this on YouTube or catching it, you see the book here. But there's actually a free assessment that I use that you can actually go through this. Just message me communication code. I'll send you the link to it. It's on my website. But it helps teams avoid these misfires by clarifying what kind of conversation are you trying to have. I have a whole other episode on that. Please go back and check on that one. But whether you're looking for collaboration, feedback, just need to be heard, naming the goal of your communication up front eliminates a lot of drama on the back end. What are you trying to communicate here? Are you clear on that? Is it a form of critique, clarity, collaboration, celebration? How often do you enter a conversation assuming alignment only to leave with frustration or to, somebody perhaps agreed? This is a pitfall that I had as a connector was I would tend to agree to be agreeable. However, I wasn't truly being honest with myself in full agreement with what was being communicated or shared. And so that has to do with me as a leader, not necessarily the other person. They thought they were communicating it clearly. Everybody's on the same page. And I was not being forthright in my understanding and an application of what was being shared. What would shift if your team had a shared language for communicating clarity, for example? This is powerful stuff, you guys. I know it may sound simple and simplistic. Sometimes the simplest things are hard to actually implement on a regular basis. We all know that we should be getting regular exercise, eating right. These are not complex things, but it does take intentionality, effort to make happen every day. Every day. Here's the thing. It all builds on itself. Remember I told you earlier where they're building up or breaking down. So every day that you decide not to show up communicating well, you're breaking down. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to hold back. Now, here's the thing. We all have different mechanisms that we have for self-preservation. I know I do. As a connector, particularly, that's for those of you that aren't connectors, this won't resonate as much. But for connectors with me, I have to learn to move past self-preservation, to collide, to engage in a healthy way, in an assertive way, not in a passive aggressive or passive way, or maybe perhaps for those of you that are maybe a guardian or a pioneer voice, more of a aggressive way, or may come off that way. But I want you to consider this about, how are you entering conversations? Check yourself. Don't just assume you're clear, but actually confirm it. And we're going to get into some ways that you can do that here on the podcast. Make sure that you're assessing, are you empowering others or is it landing differently? one thing I had to learn. So as a leader, you got to be careful about this. I was in a place of leadership, and I had a conversation with folks that I thought was collaborative in nature, but they took it as an edict, like a mandate. There was employees that came in, and so I was like, "Oh, whoa, we're doing this now." I'm like, "Well, I wasn't clear, me, that this was a conversation. This was meant to be a dialogue, not a one-way conversation, not an edict." And so that was a huge revelation for me as I stepped up into leadership roles and places of authority, that I had to be careful about how I was framing the conversation. And so do this check on yourself. And, we can get into some practical fixes here on the podcast. I can't solve all these things in one short, 20-minute podcast. This takes time and effort. But what I want to do is give you actionable steps that you can take today. And awareness, mindset, understanding is definitely, the foundation of this. When we're looking at how to solve this breakdown of being understood, what is it like to be on the other side of me? What is being communicated? What is being received? You can certainly use visual, verbal, and written follow through. Don't rely on just one medium. That's oftentimes challenging, and it's more comfortable sometimes because some of us like to just do a phone call, or like just to do a text or shoot an email. That may or may not work. And again, especially if you're not confirming understanding, and don't get somebody that just to say yes. Actually, help them confirm. Actually, clarity. What did you hear me say? I think if you're ever being taught something, see if you can teach it back. Like that is a great exercise for if you share it and then tell me what you heard back. What is the steps? And either affirm that they got it right or clarify to them, no, you got most of that right. However, this was off. One of the things I found pretty consistent in where I've spent 20 plus years in environmental consulting is people would give a staff member an assignment. They would give them an assignment and they say, "Hey, write this report. I need this report by Friday." Well, that's okay. That's good. There's a report that needs to be written and it needs to be done Friday, but Friday, what time? So be really clear on what your expectations are. This is the big one. Usually I find is write a report. Okay. Write a report. Yes. Have you ever written this report before? No. You know what this final report looks like? No. You have an example? No, I don't know what that is. So, if you don't give them the idea of what it should look like, that's really challenging. And the other big one is oftentimes, so you're not giving them a clear win of what this should look like when the finished product comes in. And the big one for any of you that are billing by the hour or tracking your time specifically like that, which most of us do, what's the level of effort, right? Whether you're invoicing, whether this is going on an invoice or just being charged internally, how much time is it going to take to do this task? Now, you have to be realistic here you might be able to do it quicker than the other person. So you have to give them guidelines as to what's the check-ins are. So oftentimes I find a miss completely on how much time it needs to take, level of effort, and what is the win would like. We can tell them, what needs, like the overall task that needs to be done, or, when it needs to get done. But we're missing the level of effort and what does that win actually look like. Let's set shared expectations using simple agreements or codes to frame discussions. Pause before you respond and seek to understand, not just reply. This is a big one. Seek to understand. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Slow down, listen, really listen to hear what the other person is saying. Don't listen just to respond, just to reply, to get our little point in there. But truly, this takes time and takes presence. And I know we're all busy, and you need to slow it down and think about what it's going to be like for the other person to receive this. Normalize feedbacks and make misfires safe to revisit. There's times where things are off, and we want to create a positive feedback loop so that we can improve. One of my favorite authors, Brené Brown, says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. We want to be kind and being that intelligent human leader. Kindness is one of the best things you can do. Not nice, but kind. Let's seek to be kind in our communication. As we wrap up the episode here today, I want to challenge you to choose an area where communication is regularly breaking down. And it should be pretty obvious to you. Maybe you can think about this at work, with your boss, colleague, the client, with a spouse, with a child. What's unclear right now? What would help you to feel more confident moving forward? Think about these two questions. Again, what is unclear right now? And what would help you feel more confident moving forward? If you want a simple way to identify the conversation you're trying to have, whether it's to process, to get feedback, to brainstorm, or to receive direction, just check out the Communication and Code Assessment. I mentioned that earlier. And I'll make sure that you have the link in the show notes here. And if you haven't had that chance to take the free leadership audit that I'm offering, we'll go through and we'll look at this whole area. Communication is just one of them. We're going to go through this whole series of breaking these down, from communication to alignment to capacity, relationships, execution. We're going to look at all of these things, but we had to start somewhere, and we're going to start on communication, because really, if we can't communicate with each other, there's not a lot more we can build on there. Communication is a soil where trust and clarity either grow or wither. I hope you're feeling this and taking this to heart, because don't let your communication wither. Don't let it wither away. Make every effort that you can on your end to be clear on how you're communicating and what it's like to be on the other side of you, how to listen. Don't leave your leadership to chance, but be clear, be kind, confirm understanding. You have not failed. You're just not finished. And we want to keep helping you build becoming that most intelligent human leader. That's leadership that works. I'm so grateful for you guys to come back here on the Intelligent Leadership Podcast, to share this, to be a part of the journey, leave your comments. It's an honor to be a part of Steward Your Business, to bring this to you. And I really have a passion. I hope you're getting that today. But I want you to come back for our next episode. We're going to continue on this journey of leadership that works. And like I said, we're going to break it down, going through these 5 different areas. And I don't want you to miss it out. From communication, we're going to jump into relationships, alignment, execution, and capacity. All of these are key in how a business survives and thrives. That's what we want to move you to thriving. And you as that intelligent human leader, if you can get all of these things dialed in, you're showing up well in all aspects of your life. That's being an intelligent leader. So come back, join me on the next week's episode. Thank you all for being a part of the journey. Until next time, take good care and be well. Thanks, everyone.